say my name, like in a deep voice. And he looks back at me and goes, Jamie. And we're laughing. And because I was like riding.
That's offensive.
So you're stuck in like a unit with people who you can't speak English to.
I literally go from like paying someone's rent, buying someone a new phone, to like, y'all want an ant farm? Like, that's my brand.
Fox News saw that I was in New York and I posted on Instagram. They literally emailed me for all the rights to it. I went viral. It was on every news station out there.
We have a guest here. Her name is Jamie.
Hello, hello. Thanks for having me.
Jamie with 2 eyes, because I misspelled it for a while.
One eye.
One eye? Oh,
it's Jaime.
Oh,
Everyone
okay.
thinks the IE's at the end.
Yes.
Yeah.
Different spelling. I misspelled your name for a while.
Yeah, a lot of people do. It happens all the time.
Introduce yourself, bitch.
I'm Jamie Lee. I go by on social media like the Jamie Lee Show. I am a stand-up comedian, like content creator. I have a podcast called Two Girls, One Blunt. So I'm kind of all over the place. I just like being in the public eye.
Yeah.
So and my brand is kind of just vulgar and sexual.
I'm assuming you like blunts then.
Blunts. I love blunts. I'm gonna need to smoke one after this.
Where did you come up with the podcast name and the idea behind it?
I was high, of course, and I had a best friend. We're not friends anymore. Fuck that bitch. And we smoked a lot of weed together. And I was like, Two girls, one blunt, kind of off the Two Girls, One Cup name. It fits like my sexual brand. It fits the fact that I smoke weed so much. And that kind of fell through. And then I looked at Emily, like my roommate, and we started getting closer. And I was like, you're actually a hard worker. Like, she didn't want to do the other friend didn't want to do any of the work. She just wanted to be a part of it.
Yeah.
And so I need somebody who's like going to be a teammate. And I was like, Emily, you're a teammate. She's the yin to my yang. And so I ended up doing it with her instead. And I was like, are you cool with this name? Because I feel like this name is very marketable. And like people will remember it in that way. And so, yeah, that's kind of what happened.
Yeah. I kept saying like 2 blunts, 1 girl, and it is very memorable.
Yeah.
The blunts and the girls part, that's really easy to get down.
I like it, yeah. And our first video, it was us doing a reaction video to the Two Girls, One Cup. To kind of like make that association right when you come to our OnlyFans page.
Okay, so it's been a journey for you to get to where you are today. Like, I know that there have been some hardships and stuff like that, and you've struggled with people not really believing in you, and you've had to believe in yourself. So why don't you kind of go into that journey of like, even before social media, of like what your dreams were and how you got to where you are?
Ever since I was a kid, like very young, I feel like I popped out of the womb wanting to be a superstar. Like I was always singing and putting on shows for my family and just like being the center of attention. And I knew I wanted to be like a singer, like a famous singer on stage. And now I do comedy on stage.
Yeah.
And then I had like a really traumatic childhood. And so that like dream just to like be famous went from more of like, I guess like a vain reason to be famous to be like, this is my ticket out of the situation that I grew up in. And so like, I guess like a little background is like my dad became addicted to his perks like after back surgery, which turned into him becoming a drug lord, going to prison, ruining our family, my mom becoming an alcoholic. So it went from like this beautiful token family to just like everything destroyed. And I was the oldest. And so I was the only one who was gonna like pay for food or like whatever it is. And so I fell in love when like social media started, like MySpace and everything, like editing. I was kind of nerdy and like coding. And I wanted to like make my profile cool. And that's really where it started. And I was like, I actually love this. I love the process. I love that it's always changing. Like you always have to be learning when it comes to marketing and putting yourself out there. And so I kind of saw that as my ticket out and I just kind of kept pursuing it. But I've constantly changed what I'm doing in the public eye. I've done like fitness influencer stuff to like, I had like a website and a vlog, like a blog or whatever. I've done network marketing. Now I'm on the comedy side, and then all of a sudden I'm doing OnlyFans. So it's just like whatever I can do, and I just adapt so that I can continue to make money and grow and try to break those family cycles.
Yeah. Okay. How do you think you were able to like separate yourself from what your family was doing and like become this like strong, hardworking person that you are today?
I feel like I just didn't really have a choice.
Okay.
So like when my dad became a drug lord, he stole a prescription pad from the local hospital and wrote out prescriptions for like oxys and everything to 62 families on the South Shore. And a lot of those families were in my town. And when I was a senior, I used to sing the national anthem at the football games. Well, the day before the football game, there happened to be a huge SWAT raid where all of the, like 62 people got arrested, like houses broken into, parents held at gunpoint, like people I know from high school, their parents, like because of my dad. And I walked out onto the field and not a single person said anything. You know when you feel that energy, like the coldness, like you're not welcome, and like not a single person looked at me, not a single person like acknowledged me. And I feel like my whole like childhood, I was bullied in high school too, was constantly being the person that like wasn't accepted. And so I was nothing like my family. I was straight edge. I was third in my high school for like the longest time until senior year. I was in every club, like vice president of the National Honor Society. I worked so hard to not be like my parents because I was constantly being judged for who my family was by everyone. Like my boyfriend's parents, people weren't allowed to hang out with me. And I was such a good kid. And so I had to develop tough skin because if you don't, that shit breaks you. And so after going through all of that trauma in like high school and middle school, once I got to college and like post college and social media is like kind of blowing up, I already had that thick skin. So now it's just kind of like, say what you want to say about me. But when no one was supporting me, I had a vision in my head that I knew was going to get me there. And this is it. And you're not going to like change that.
Yeah. Okay. Well, that's a really good way to think of, well, I mean, you didn't have a choice. And, you know, it really sucks that you had to go through all these things to like become who you are today. But I mean, I think a lot of people who haven't been through, I think, traumatic childhoods, like, I mean, I don't see it a lot, but it could be a lot on your page, but like getting all the hate that we do on TikTok, getting like all these people saying like you have an OnlyFans and like just really making fun of like your personality. And
I feel like I get strangers like me. It's the people who know me, people who are in the friend groups or like the social scenes that I'm in. That's where I get the hate. So I get it like not necessarily in my comments or in my DMs, but I get it when I hear you talking shit about me, you know, or like a friend comes up to me and they're like, so-and-so said this and thinks like what you're doing is really stupid, or like that you're a whore, that like you're not forward thinking because you're doing an OnlyFans. I've heard it all from people who were like my friends. And I lost 5 best friends, 5 people like important to me in my life last year when I started an OnlyFans. So I lost everyone. I had to like start it. So I definitely do get that hate, but again, it's like a little bit more easier to deal with. And at this point it's kind of expected. I learned it has nothing to do with me. It has to do with everything with how they feel about themselves.
It's always a projection.
It's always a projection.
So with like everything that happened in high school, what did you do? Because you're 23, 24? Oh, 27. Okay. I thought you were.
I know everyone here is so young. I'm young. I'm old.
It's funny because you party harder than me.
So I never got to party. I worked and put myself through college, and I didn't have a high school experience really. Like I never got to be a kid. I had all that taken away from me. Yeah. And so once I got into sales after college and I started making good money, I was like, I'll be damned if I get married and I do not have these experiences. So I'm living it up now. And the most people that want to do that with me are younger. So a lot of my friends are a lot younger.
I feel like I did it so much growing up that now I'm living in my grandma years.
Yeah. Like, that's a lot of people. I'm doing it backwards. So everyone's like, is she okay? Like, you're old. You should be like trying to settle down and do all this. I'm like, fuck no. I'm young and I'm going to party my ass off right now.
As you should. So you went to college. Like, what did you study and what was your experience like before really pursuing social media?
So, okay, one of my dreams, on top of being famous, was to be the next Steve Irwin. I grew up around reptiles and like snakes and like animals. Like my uncle had like a whole room where you opened it and it was just cages of like iguanas and snake, like everything that you can imagine. We'd go to like other states to get illegal exotic animals and bring them back home. And so I had this love for animals. I wanted to be like the next Steve Irwin, and I guess in my head I was like, I'll have my own TV show and work with animals. Like, so I went to college for pre-vet, and I was a bio major, was in the pre-vet program, and I started realizing like I would have to getting into vet school is harder than getting into medical school because there's way less opportunities. Like there's way less schools to get into, and you have to put in like 500 hours of volunteer work and things like that just to even apply to vet school. And so that meant I would have to take summers off. But I put myself through school. So I was like, I can't work for free for 3 months. I won't eat. I'll lose everything I have.
Yeah.
And so I just started realizing that a lot of what I wanted to do and that major or career in itself is such a privileged career to be in, and people don't realize how privileged you need to be successful in that. I was like, I can't afford grad school especially if I'm not saving up money in college because I'm trying to like work. And so I wasted a year basically, and I was like, fuck, I think I need to go into business. I was like, what can I go into school? And also, what would I do with a fucking bio degree? Nothing, right? You only do that to get into vet school. So I was like, I'll go into business, get out in 4 years, do my major in 3 years, and then I can just try to make money. And the more I know about business, the more money I'll be able to make.
Yeah.
And so I just like made the decision. I changed everything and finished my degree in 3 years, and I focused on marketing and entrepreneurship.
Yeah, same.
And so I was helping other people, like helping local businesses while I was in school, like do their Facebook pages and run ads and like teaching myself everything I could know about marketing. And I was like, why am I doing this for other people when I could be doing this for myself? Like I'm helping all these people make money, and I'm still like working my ass off to like not make good money. And so that's kind of where that transition happened.
Okay, got it. So did you have a sales job after college, or is that when you started working on social media, or were you doing both at once?
I always was working on social media. When I went to college, I was known as like the Facebook girl because we had like the college group class page, you know? And so I was like the Yik Yak campus ambassador. And so I was known as Yik Yak girl. Like I ran everything on my campus. I was in the Facebook groups. I was in all the clubs. So my face and name was just everywhere because of social media. So I was always doing it kind of on the side, but not really like making money from it. I just enjoyed doing it. And from that experience, that's how I was able to help businesses. So when I graduated college, I actually went and worked for a startup marketing company in Boston. And the first year it was like shit pay, a shit job. It wasn't actual marketing. I was like onboarding people.
I remember looking at marketing jobs because that was my degree for after college. I didn't actually pay for my own college, but after my parents paid for college, it was like anywhere from $22,000 per year to like $32,000 that you would be getting paid for working 40-hour weeks.
Yep. I was lucky to make like $40K out of college. I kind of like negotiated that up because with making $40K, I still wasn't going to be able to pay my monthly bills and live in Boston to even have the job. And I didn't have a car at the time. So there was just like all of this stuff happening. And I also worked 2 bartending jobs every day besides Monday nights after school. So I was working 70 plus hour weeks for a full year and just still barely getting by because I got into college on a free ride and I lost everything because my mom refused to not claim me on her taxes, even though she didn't even know where I was going to school. So the school took away all my scholarships my last year, and that's the year my dad passed away. So there was just like a lot to put myself through school. So I was working a lot, and then I realized that there was no money in the position that I was in.
Yeah.
And I was like, I can't do this. Like, I need to be in sales. How do I get in sales so I'm in control of how much I make? And so in corporate America, you're not really supposed to tell people you want to like leave the job that you're in or whatever. And I was just kind of like, no, I'm going to tell everyone. I'm going to go up to every person in sales and be like, how do I get into sales? And they're all older. They're like in their 40s and stuff. I went up to the VP like 6 months into my job and I was like, I will be your best sales rep. What do I have to do? And he laughed at me and he's like, you have no experience. I was like, I don't care what you say. I'm going to be your best sales rep. What do I have to do? And I've been told no my whole life from everyone. So sales, hearing no from people is easy because I always had to figure it out either way.
Yeah.
So like, I had built that tough skin that made me be really good in sales. So he didn't listen to me, and I didn't give up. I just kept going, and I had did everything that I could in my job to learn as much about sales. Met the inside sales director, and I was like, the same thing. I'm Jamie Simmons. I may not have experience, but what I can do is X, Y, and Z, and I will be your best sales rep if you give me the chance. And he liked that I had the balls to do that. He brought me up for a shadowing thing, and I was watching some girl send emails, and I literally walked in his office, knocked on the door, and I was like, I didn't come up here to watch somebody send emails. I came up here to see if I can get a job, so put me on the phone and see what I can do. And he was like, what the hell? And I ended up booking in appointments, and from there I went from within 6 months I was promoted. I became the #1 sales rep in the office.
Wow.
I won President's Club 2 years in a row, and that's where my life started taking a change. And it was selling digital marketing to companies. So I was creating their whole annual salaries, hundreds of thousands of dollars in budgets. But sales sucks. It's a lot of work, and you're still working for somebody else, and it's still not a job that, you can depend on. When shit happens like COVID, who's paying for marketing? No one. They're shutting their marketing budgets off.
So when you were working in sales, because I also worked in sales before I started this job, but unlike you, I was bad. I was I have absolutely no passion, and I think our product sucks. So I was really bad at it. But when you're working as a sales rep, did you feel like your creativity and your personality was just kind of being suppressed in a little box, and you weren't able to express yourself fully?
No. I think part of just the way I grew up, I never I'm a walking HR violation. Literally. I swear if you're not doing your job, I'll yell at you. I had no way of controlling my emotions because I never healed my shit. And everyone knew I was on social media talking about sex and dick while I worked at a corporate job, and they because I was good at sales, I got away with it. So I told myself, if I'm as good as I can be, they can't say shit to me, and they couldn't.
Yeah.
And so for me, I would be on the phone with clients, and I'd be like, yeah, I got high today, blah, blah. We talk about weed, literally sales clients of owners of companies. I would talk about their kids. I would talk about whatever.
Yeah.
They follow me on social media and see all the stuff I was posting, and my job was this is weird. And I'm like, yeah, but these people like me, and that's why I have the highest retaining clients out of anyone in the office. They get cancellations. These people stay with me because I'm a real person. And so I literally told myself from a young age, I was if you don't like who I am, then I'm not going to work for you. You kind of have to deal with it. And I'll show up, and I'm going to make you money. So for me, not really.
Yeah.
Because I just didn't give a fuck. My manager literally said, if you weren't selling, there was 30 people in our office. 5 of us made up 75% of the revenue. I was one of them.
Okay.
He's like, if you weren't a top rep, you would have been fired already. I was like, I know, but that's why I'm a top rep. But I just hated working for other people, so I was always building my shit on the side.
Okay, so what was the transition like from you working as a sales rep to, because you didn't make an OnlyFans till this past year, so there was still a gap, correct?
Yeah, I was in sales for 2 years prior to doing OnlyFans. And for me, my job was to look at market trends and see what's going to be hot, what social media platform is going to be the next big thing, what are people doing that are setting them apart. And all of a sudden I started hearing about OnlyFans for a month straight. This is in March. And I was dating somebody, and I moved in with them. And then we broke up a week into moving together 2 weeks before everything shut down. And I was in New Hampshire. And so I had never considered OnlyFans. I also had a boyfriend at the time. So and at this point I was like, fuck this. I moved to Boston within 4 days. My friend had made a couple $100s on OnlyFans. And I was like, I see that we're going into lockdown. We have no idea how long this is going to go for. And it's the hottest topic right now that everyone's talking about. If I don't get in now, I'm going to regret it. If I get in now and I'm early in, especially when it's hot, I'm going to make a lot of money.
Yeah.
And so I just said, fuck it. And started pretty much, I think I created it the night I broke up with him and moved out. Yeah, I was like, fuck you. I'm going to make my bag and I'm going to move. And everyone's like, oh my God, you're doing that? And from there, it just kind of changed everything.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then I stayed with the job until mid-June. I had a friend who, one of the reasons, my best friend who I got her hired told my bosses that I had an OnlyFans because she got mad that I had one and tried to get me fired. And so like right after our fight, I get called into HR, and now they start talking about OnlyFans. When before they knew I was doing it, they kind of just swept it under the rug.
Yeah.
But because it was brought to their attention, now they have to deal with it, and they were trying to get me fired. And so I just like got lawyers involved, and I was like, try me. They offered me an NDA to shut up because they knew they couldn't fire me for anything. And I quit and just started doing everything full time.
Yeah.
So it's been a journey.
It really has. So I was going to ask a different would you rather question, but you mentioned that you wanted to be the next Steve Irwin. So I'm adapting to what you're saying.
Okay.
So it's going to be a would you rather question. And it's like, what show would you rather be involved with? And I'm assuming you watched both of these if you were on Animal Planet a lot like I was growing up. So Meerkat Manor, or it's Animal Planet's World's Most Dangerous Animals.
The most dangerous animals.
Okay, I was wondering.
Yeah.
I would be a Meerkat Manor girl.
Really? No. I spent my summers in Cali at my cousin's, like, catching rattlesnakes. Like, if there was snakes or anything exotic, like, I'd be the first person to pick it up. Like, none of that stuff, like, bothered me.
Oh,
so,
wow.
like, for that, like, the whole extreme part of it, like, is kind of thrilling.
Yeah.
As long as it's not bugs.
So, like, a tarantula, you wouldn't be
Fuck
chill
no.
with. But a rattlesnake,
Yeah.
that could kill you.
Yeah.
You're fine with.
I used to come home and just catch snakes. My mom would be like, where'd you get that? And I'd be like, I don't know, I just grabbed it. I like
Really?
watched their techniques, and I like learned how to handle animals. And yeah, I've had alligators, iguanas. I've had a bunch of poisonous, I had a king snake, poisonous dart frogs. I've had like poisonous animals and things that could fuck you up. A 20-foot python, 20-foot boa constrictor. Like, yeah.
And they were just in, where are you
So
from?
my uncle's house, we basically turned it into like an exotic zoo. So we had everything. And I was
Okay.
the one who I would go there just to hang out with him and take care of them. So like I wasn't afraid of anything.
Where was this? Like, where on earth?
In Quincy, Massachusetts.
Okay, because
Where all of it's illegal.
I didn't.
I think it's past the statute of limitations though.
Yeah. We had illegal stick bugs because they're technically like parasites that like eat gardens and don't add anything.
Oh shit.
But they're cool animals.
Yeah.
Like, they're like, they just kind of wiggle their antennas around.
I don't know what it is about bugs. Bugs I can't fuck with, but like any other, yeah.
I used to be able to fuck with them a lot when I was younger, and then I think like, you know, there's a societal stigma with like OnlyFans. There's like a societal stigma with bugs that I haven't been able to overcome, because growing up I didn't have one, and then I started hanging out with girly girls who were like, oh my god, spiders, and then I started to be like, oh my god, spiders, and now they freak me out, but they didn't used to.
At a young age, they didn't scare me.
Yeah.
And then I just think as like I lost my innocence, I don't know, I looked at them as evil or something.
They're a little odd. I like found a cockroach in my room the other day, and I was like,
Yeah, I would kill myself on the spot.
so you said that you had an uncle where you had a lot of your animals at. Was he a figure for you at all while everything was happening for your family, or
No.
No.
I think that was more when I was younger, and I think that when everything happened with my dad, my mom kind of went like a little cuckoo. And our family pretty much cut all of us off. So like I didn't have a strong, like I lost the extended family, like all the parties we used to do and stuff. Like everyone kind of just like avoided us.
Yeah.
Really. So I was more like resentful for everyone, like towards everyone. Like my younger childhood was really great. But no, yeah, I was pretty much, besides my Nana who lived with me, I was pretty much on my own since I was like 12.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, in a kind of fucked up way, but are you glad this happened so you became like the person you are today?
Absolutely. I would not change it for the world. I'm also very spiritual. And so something like in spirituality is that kind of like, I try to look at life this way. Imagine if you had picked your life. You had picked every hardship that you had, every battle you're going to face, all the shit you went through in your life. You chose that in order to learn lessons, to be like to grow and like be a better person. So if you think of it like that, I'm like, I chose that because I'm strong as fuck and I knew I could handle it, and I did, and look where I'm at now.
Yeah.
So it's like, I don't think I would have the same work ethic or the strength or like confidence in who I am and like what I do had I not been told no and had everyone like completely try to break me down my whole life.
Yeah.
You know?
Where do you think that you were able to like find confidence from? Because I'm assuming with everything that happened, it probably took you a while to figure out who you were and to like find that inner confidence, or was that pretty immediate?
I don't think I've had it, or I felt like I had it literally until this past year, like the past like 8 months.
Okay. Do you
When
think
I became
OnlyFans?
more spiritual and stopped having sex and just really focused on myself. I faked confidence. I was all about fake it till you make it. I will do whatever it takes for me to be successful. And if that means I have to put on a face and pretend I'm like happy on stage even though I'm like shitting my pants or something like that, you'll think I'm confident. So to everyone else, they'll be like, oh, she's super confident. I was so insecure. I overanalyzed everything. I felt like everyone hated me because I had all that stuff. I always felt like I was never good enough no matter what I was doing and had like my accomplishments. I never saw the value in it. And so I played a victim for a very long time, but everyone else thought I was confident. It wasn't until I really separated from myself from everyone and tried to heal my past shit that like I think I gained a newfound confidence in who I am. So yeah, I faked it.
Fake it till you make it, baby.
Yeah.
What were some of the steps that you went through to find this confidence? Like, did you go to therapy, or how did you become spiritual? How did you like heal some of your inner traumas?
I became spiritual because like the guy that I had recently dated was like super into mushrooms and spirituality, and he would talk about it, and like he kind of like started that whole spiritual awakening, especially when we broke up. I was like, I really like this. And so I did mushrooms for the first time, had this horrible mushroom trip. I think I've told you about it, where I like threw up and my cats ended up eating it and tripping and all this stuff.
You didn't tell
crazy
me this.
stories. So I went through that, and I think that's what really like, it was like I went through 8 years of therapy in 12 hours. And from there I started meditating every single day for like an hour, sometimes more than an hour. I listened to frequency sounds all the time. I started like grounding myself. I was diagnosed bipolar. I cut my medication cold turkey and just did all of the like coping mechanisms that they would teach you. And I have been better than I ever have been. Like I don't have the same triggers. They don't bother me as much. So I've learned how to like deal with anxiety and things like that. And so I think that a lot of the reason I was so all over the place is because I didn't know how to handle that. And so when you know how to handle that, it's way easier to show up in a situation and be more confident in who you are because you know you can handle it and you're not going to react in a poor way.
Yeah.
And then I lost a lot of people and a lot of friends, and I started recognizing like the red flags and just being very, very self-aware. And so once I kind of cut everyone out, or they cut me out, and I was alone for months, I like started working out. I lost 40 pounds. I started the podcast. Like I started doing all this stuff for me. And then I was just like, you're the fucking shit, Jamie. like you are so cool. Why these people were always saying things to you because that's their own insecurities and their own projections. And I think spirituality taught me a lot about that, like energy exchange. And when you bring light to a situation, you're going to attract people who want to take that from you. It has nothing to do with you not being worthy. They see you're worthy. They want to take it from you. And that's why they put you down. And so as I like learned all of this and I just started being really aware of situations, I think those steps over the past year have really helped me have a solid foundation with who I am to be confident.
That's amazing. Where did you learn all these things? Was it YouTube? Was it TikTok? Like, where did you find everything?
Everywhere.
Everywhere.
Yeah, everywhere. Talking to people. I started going to Reiki as well to like heal some of like the childhood trauma that I have, like energy stored in your body. I noticed like when I was triggered, certain parts of my body would act up. So like I was learning from her. I read books. TikTok was a huge thing of it. Google, like I kind of made spirituality and like energy my main focus of just like healing. I was like, I'm going to take this time for a year and just do whatever I can so that this doesn't get in the way. Because it was getting in the way of friendships and relationships and how I felt, and I wouldn't take opportunities the same way or appreciate them without that. So
yeah. So when did you start stand-up comedy then?
I started stand-up about 2.5 years ago. I think it was like July 2019.
Okay, got it.
I did it for about 8 months, and then COVID happened. I started doing online comedy stuff and some like shows, and then it wasn't really until maybe like 5 months ago that I really got back into it. So it's pretty new.
Okay, got it. Do you have any off the top jokes that you're like, oh, this kills?
It's different because you're not in a setting where like people are there to laugh, so you're more in like an analytical setting if you just like say a joke.
I'm gonna like cut my mouth so it sounds like more people are laughing after you say something.
I'm trying to think of one. I have one where it's like it's a part of a joke, but I talk about my childhood and how I was like fucked up and like how I'm a huge whore. Right. And then I'm like, don't blame me, like blame my parents. Like my mom's Irish Catholic and my dad's a Jew. And that's why I turned out to be a cheap, slutty alcoholic. And so like, there's like random, it's like one-liners here and there of like an overall arching message.
Yeah.
But yeah, you guys can check out my social media for more jokes.
You should. She also does some stand-up bits, or I don't know if it was just the one, but you were topless, right?
Oh, the Topless Comedy Show.
Yeah.
Yeah. The way I transitioned from stand-up into OnlyFans, I wanted to set myself apart on OnlyFans. So I was like, if I'm the topless comedian, no one's doing that right now. Mm-hmm. So I can make a name for myself a lot faster. I'm always thinking like 10 steps ahead. Yeah. And so I did that, and immediately Joey Coco Diaz, who's a huge comedian, recognized me on Twitter, talked about me on all his podcasts, and now I'm like friends with him. And that like built a name in comedy like immediately. But yeah, I did a topless comedy show to raise, I donated all the proceeds to different like Black Lives Matter charities and organizations. Okay. And it was very successful. It was awesome. It was like $4,000 in one night in like a couple hours. And so yeah.
Okay. Well, that's amazing. It was a lot of fun. How do you think like stand-up comedy has translated to OnlyFans? Because I think you have a lot of diehard fans on OnlyFans. Like, they spend a lot of money. So how do you think it's like translated and your personality comes out on it?
I think I've always just shown my personality. I think when like Instagram models were a thing, like it's just pictures and then posting. You didn't know who these girls were. And so when everyone was doing that, I was posting on stories. Like I was letting you know every single facet of my life because I knew that was going to make, like, I'm being authentic. I can't put a mask on and pretend to like hide shit, especially if I'm sad or whatever. Yeah. And so stand-up comedy was definitely a outlet for all the shit I was going through. But when I started OnlyFans and then COVID happened, like I didn't feel funny. But those people who had been following me for so long, I had 5,000 Instagram followers, and my first month made $20,000 off that. That's it. That's the only audience who saw that I had an OnlyFans. And so, because they had watched me and everything would go, and they're like, oh, she's doing that. Like they have more of a intimate relationship, I guess, because they feel like they know me. Yeah. And so that translated into like the girlfriend experience. And then with comedy, like when do you get to see your favorite comedian's tits? Like, so if you've followed me and you felt that way about me, and now you get to like see me topless and stuff, you're gonna do that. For my comedy career, I feel like it right off the bat initially hurts because people are like, oh, you're not funny, people just want to see your tits, and that's the only reason. Like men want to like bring any woman who's in comedy down. That's just like the industry. Or I get like bookers who are like, oh, like let me subscribe to your OnlyFans, and then it's like, did I get booked on the show because he thinks I'm hot, or like because he thinks I'm funny? And so there definitely has been a struggle in that way, like when you own your sexuality as a woman, especially in comedy, because like they do not like women who talk about sex, even though guys talk about their fucking dick 24/7 on stage. They do. So it's like, it's been a little bit difficult, but it's also brought me a ton of opportunities in comedy. So there's like, it's both, So I think it's really helped. Like I wouldn't have had that show with Jeffrey Ross or been noticed by Joey Diaz or Bert Kreischer had I not done OnlyFans.
Why don't you describe the experience that you just had that I saw you post on your Instagram that looked pretty sick? I don't remember who it was.
The Be a Man thing?
You were wearing like black lingerie.
Oh, the black bikini on stage? Yeah, so Boston Be a Man is a part of this like comedy group in Boston, and he has like over 2 million on TikTok. So he'll say things like, if your wife's arguing with her, ignore her and walk away. Be a man. Like it's like very short, funny clips. I ended up being on one of their podcasts because of my topless comedy that I did. And so they invited me back to be like, I guess the token hot girl on stage and pass out prosciutto to like the winners. And so I did that, and I got to be on stage at the Wilbur Theater, which is a huge stand-up comedy like theater in Boston, for a paid gig, and so for a comedy event. So that was awesome. And just, I think like being up there was like really full circle.
Yeah.
Because I got so much like hate on like showing my body online and like doing what I was doing and how it was going to hurt my career and I wasn't going to have opportunities. I'm like, I wouldn't have had that opportunity, you know? So I'm like very grateful for what OnlyFans has been able to do for my career. And I guess that's also where the confidence comes, seeing the opportunity for where it is, and rather than like hearing all the stuff that people talk poorly about. If I listened to that, I wouldn't see the opportunity for what it is. Now I'm like grateful, and I'm like, no, I'm doing the right thing. Like, I'm a badass.
Yeah, you are a badass. Have you ever hooked up with comedians? Other comedians?
So the number one rule in comedy is you're not supposed to hook up with other comedians.
Really?
Especially if you're a girl, because then it's like, oh, she only fucked so-and-so, and that's why she got on a show. I wasn't serious about stand-up comedy, and I had gone to this comedy show in New Hampshire every single Wednesday just because I enjoyed it.
Yeah.
And the comedian on stage, there was some serious like chemistry going on just from like me being in the front row and him on stage. And I had followed him on everything because I thought he was hot, and he had like a deep voice that like, I don't know, sounded like a father figure I didn't have. And so, yeah, he ended up DMing me. We like dated for 2 months. Like, he took me on all these dates, and then I finally slept with him. After 2 months of like going on dates, he'd drive up from Boston once a week to see me. And then he fucking ghosted me. And then I got more, I think it's because I got more into like comedy and everything. We're like friends now and everything. So like that was the first comic I fucked. And at that point I was like, I'm never going to fuck a comic again. And then there was another comic, and he was just so hot, I couldn't say no. And he was like, we won't tell anyone about this. And I was like, we will not tell anyone about this. So we fucked. And then I see like a guy friend from high school who has nothing to do with comedy. And that guy's at a party. I'm like, how do you know so-and-so? Like, we literally fucked like a month ago. Well, I didn't know that that guy showed up with his new girlfriend, who's best friends with my friend that I had messaged. So that started this whole thing. He's like, we weren't supposed to fucking tell anyone. Fuck you. You're never getting invited to this shit. And I was like, all right, this is why we don't
Hook up with comedians.
hook up with comedians. But like, my type is comedians. Like, guys who can make me laugh.
Yeah.
But also the confidence when you're on stage is so sexy to me. So it's literally like my weakness. And I'm just sitting here like, no, you're going to be good. Like, we're not doing this.
Do you think the sex comes off, like, is it funny sex or is it like hot sex? Like,
well, the first guy I fucked was fucking terrible, and he had no idea how to eat pussy. I was like, yo, bro, you alive down there? Like, what's going on? Like, what are you doing? You taking a nap? Like, it was terrible. And so I'm like honestly kind of glad he ghosted me. But the second one was like, all right. I don't know. It wasn't, you would think that you'd be like laughing. Like, that's how I am.
I crack jokes when I fuck.
Me too. One time, like an ex-boyfriend, I was on top. I'm like riding him, and I like hold his hands, and I'm like, say my name, like in a deep voice. And he looks back at me and goes, Jamie. And we're laughing. And because I was like riding dick and laughing, I fucking squirted for the first time.
Really?
Yeah. So I was like, I love that. Like, being funny and being able to be comfortable, that's going to make me like have a way better experience. But no, it wasn't like that with the comics. They're kind of pussies.
Yeah.
They get this like ego because they're on stage and people laugh at them.
Dude, the guys with the egos are some of the worst in bed. I used to fuck a lot of frat boys, and then I just thought that men sucked at sex. And then I finally had like really, really good sex this year. I was like,
Same.
Wow, it took me 24 years to get this.
Yeah. No, I broke my 8-month celibacy like a couple weeks ago. And it was because it was like a kid who would have no idea. Like, he didn't come off as cocky. Like, he came off as like confident and comfortable with who he was, but kind of quiet and nerdy. But like still hung out in the party scene, but he just seemed different. And they started taking me out and like really pursuing me. And then he showed up. He saw that I had a comedy show, so he bought tickets and showed up alone to my comedy show to support me. And I was like, oh, that's hot.
Yeah.
And then like took me to dinner and all this stuff. And then we ended up fucking. It's like literally the best sex I've ever had. And I was like, I had no idea about you. And I wasn't gonna give him a chance either up front. Initially I was like, I'm kind of into your friend. So I tried to pursue. I pursued his friend the whole time, like the whole night.
Yeah.
The first night I met him. I'm glad I changed my mind because and I'm like, wow, there are people who just want to please women and eat their pussy for 2 hours. Like, that exists. What?
Yeah. See, I've been having really good sexual experiences with girls recently, and granted it's for OnlyFans, but like, it's better than guys. I don't know what that is.
I don't know.
They know their way around a vagine very well, but then also like, maybe I'm just turned on by them more. I don't know.
Yeah, I've had 2 threesomes with girls, and both times I was shit-faced. And when I did all the work, and I had no idea what the fuck I was doing because it was the first vagina I've ever touched.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I don't really hook up with girls till we're in like situations like this, and I'm like, all right, I guess she's gonna suck on my titties today.
Yeah.
I'm okay with that.
What would you say your worst sexual experience has been?
All of them. Like, I'm dead ass. Like, just nothing has been really like
Has there ever just been one that you were so mortified, like one of them with me, the guy peed the bed after?
I've never had anything like embarrassing happen. I don't think.
Well, that's...
I think it's more of like one time I remember hooking up with a dude in college, and we're like making out, and then he starts like dry humping me, which is fine. We're like dry humping, grinding on each other, except like he did that and I wasn't doing anything, and he just kept going, and I was like, oh, you're trying to come right now. And then he started like saying shit in my ear, and I remember like looking like while his head's here, and I'm like, what the fuck? Like, and he lived above me, so I literally go, oh hey, I didn't realize it was this early. Like, I have to go to the gym. He's like, it's 4:30 in the morning. And I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna get changed and go to the gym. And so I made him go upstairs, and then I like went to bed, and I was like, never again. I've had like shitty situations like that where it's like awkward and weird, but it's not me. I'm like,
That's so weird.
or like that comic I fucked who didn't know how to eat pussy. I literally was sitting there and I was like, this is terrible.
Yeah,
This is so sad.
absolutely.
You know?
So then what was your good sexual experience like, the most recent one? So he ate your vagine for a few hours.
Oh my God. Yeah. It was all about me. And he also knows how to eat pussy. I think recently, all right, we fucked without a condom for the first time. And so, and the way it went about it, like he was so persistent, like we were so persistent about like using it, and we were fucking like 6 times in a night, like when we first started fucking, because it was like that good. I had my period, so I was like, we weren't gonna have sex. I was like, you want to take a shower? And he was like, sure. So like, open the door, I'm naked. And then he's like looking at me, he just pulls his pants down, like doesn't take eye contact off, and then like pushes me against my sink, and there's the mirror, and starts like playing with me as he's staring me in the eyes. And I'm like, well, this is hot. And we're like not saying anything, we're just watching. He makes me come literally 4 times just with his hands in the mirror and whatever, and like makes it all about me. Like eats me out, all this stuff. I'm like, I have my period right now and you don't give a fuck, which is hot as hell.
Yeah.
And so then after that's like built up, he looks at me in the mirror and he like backs up and he just spits on his dick and puts it in. I was like, oh yeah. And then we fucked against the mirror a bunch. Fucked on my like sink, and then we went into the shower and fucked some more. And it was just like I was like, this would be a porno. Like if we fucking filmed this, like I'd make a lot of money. Like this was hot.
Gotta make porn. I mean, at least me. I want to, because I'm like, get that money, honey.
I'm afraid because like once I cut that line, I'm like, I don't do things half-ass.
Yeah.
So like if I'm doing it because I'm gonna like be known doing it. And so I don't know if I'm ready for that.
I just remember thinking it's a lot more effort to think of like creative things to like make people still like want to buy my stuff. And I just remember thinking it was like more effort, and I'm taking the lazy girl route, which
That's
is just
why
doing
That's why I started showing my vagina, because I was like, I don't want to put this effort into making content and try to like do the girlfriend experience or like different ways around it. And I was like, I'm lazy this week. Here's my pussy. Now pay for it.
Yeah.
That's the only reason because I didn't show anything for the first year. So like it came down to laziness and not wanting to be creative.
Yeah.
And then like all of a sudden that turned into, I was like, well, what else can I do? And I was like, I guess I'll put a dildo in my mouth or like whatever. And it just kept going. And now I'm like this guy just made an appearance on my OnlyFans. I was like, will you like play with my ass and like rub me down and like slap it? And I've never had anyone touch me in a video before. I guess besides you. So yeah, that was I guess the most I've had.
Love to see it.
Yeah.
So you say that you dabble with, I mean, you obviously dabble with blunts. Do you also dabble in like shrooms, acid, Molly?
I love drugs.
Love drugs.
I love drugs. I was straight edge for so long and didn't do anything. And like, yeah, I do shrooms. I've never done acid. Ecstasy and Molly are my favorite. If you put it in front of me, I'll do it. I thought I did Molly once and it turned out to be bath salts, so I guess I've done bath salts.
Can you elaborate on that experience? What it was
nothing happened because I didn't take enough for the bath salts to affect me. It just like I was like, why did I buy this Molly and it's shit? And they were like, we got a test kit. It was a Molly. And that was the first time I ever did drugs. I think I was a freshman in college. So I was like just starting to drink for the first time. And they were like, everyone's like, what'd you try in college? I was like, bath salts. They're like, she's changed. That was quick. Yeah. And, you know, I had a little snow phase. I partied like all summer, and that was why I was in a toxic friendship, and I just lost who I wanted to be. So I don't really do it anymore. But I loved it when I did it.
Damn.
Yeah, I would rather do drugs over drink. Like, I would rather do ecstasy than like drink any day.
I also would rather do drugs than drink because I think they're just way better for you.
And everyone's like has like shit to say about ecstasy and Molly. I swear that cures my depression. Not antidepressants, not anxiety medication, not my bipolar medication. That made me feel like zombie. And I remember talking to my therapist, and I found a therapist that was like cool with me doing drugs and being open about it. I didn't want judgment. Yeah. I would rather you like help me with the situation than give me judgment. And so I went to Europe, and we bought like 28 ecstasy pills, and I did 3 in the morning, 3 at night, went to like museums. Like, I had the best time of my life. And my therapist was like, well, how was your come down? I was like, I didn't have one. I was in a really low funk before I went to Europe. And then I left Europe feeling better, and I was like, I'm not depressed anymore.
I think with come downs, a lot of it has to do with how much you take and if you go overboard.
I went way overboard. Really? I've never had a come down from ecstasy or Molly or shrooms or anything.
Oh my God.
Nothing. It literally makes, sometimes I do it just if I'm feeling down, I'll do it. And then it kind of like sets me on my way for like the next month.
Lucky little bitch.
Yeah.
I literally have photos of me crying when Khloe Kardashian's dog died. Not my dog, Khloe Kardashian posted that her dog died. And I was sobbing because it was after a concert.
Oh, I would do the same thing. Yeah. I'll cry, but I'll still feel good. Like, I had that horrible mushroom trip or whatever. Horrible, emotional mess, crying, bad place. I was like, this is rock bottom. But then I was like, what wonderful lessons I just learned. And the next day I was fine.
Yeah.
Like,
it's beautiful.
Yeah. So, yeah. I'm a little wild right now.
She's going through her crazy phase. I just saw her on some yachts partying it up, and I was like so fucking jealous because I'm like, I should be partying it up. But here I am working my little butt off.
I'm doing both. So like all of how I met like the person who helps me with OnlyFans and everything, I met him through an old dude I partied with all summer and did a bunch of blow with. Like, that's how I got the introduction. And so I was like, you know what? As long as I'm out there and I go with a business mindset, like, everyone was like trying to like flirt with the old men to get like Chanel bags and dinners. And I literally was like, so what are you investing in? I'm like hammered. Yeah. I'm like doing lines. And I'm like, so talk to me about who you can introduce me to, like, for like my business. So I like used it as networking opportunities, and it worked. Honestly, and then that changed my life. So I don't regret a thing.
It's so funny because for the longest time I like didn't want to go on yachts. And do you want to know why? Have you seen that video of It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia?
Where they're on a yacht?
Where, no, they're not on, or they're about to go on a yacht. And then the one guy is like, there's an implication of a boat where they like can't say no.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, and then I was like, well, I don't want to go on a boat now.
That happens. That definitely happens. I hate that.
Like creepy old men. And a lot of people.
And they trap you on the boat. This happens to all my friends, yeah.
Oh my God. There was a guy that didn't even have a yacht that I was on his like boat. It was like a double-decker boat that like is not a yacht. And then he asked me on a date, like, to the point that I was, like, hiding.
Wait, you told me about this. This was, like, a traumatic experience.
It was so traumatic.
Yeah.
And I told my guy friend I thought he was being creepy because I'm like, why was he just slapping my ass? Because he asked if I thought he was hot. And I'm like, objectively, yes, but that doesn't really mean that, like, I'm into it. And then he was like, well, we're going to hang out all night. And I'm like, well, I don't want to fuck. And, like, just the not respecting my no. And I'm like, I think, and it was even harder for me to like stand my ground because he owned a fucking boat.
Oh, I don't give a fuck. One time I went on a yacht in Miami. It's a very well-known yacht. It's like, I think it's like a $20 million yacht. It's like fucking insane. The owner tried to fucking touch my hair and put it in a cup. I was like, if you fucking touch me, like, watch what will happen. He's like, I own this boat. I was like, I don't give a fuck if you own this boat. I own this hair and it's cost money. Like, I was like, are you gonna pay for it? He's like, well, if you stay in my boat, it's $10,000. I go, take my fucking card. Don't fucking talk to me like that or touch me. I don't give a fuck if this is your boat. I'm a cunt. I have no problem turning to you and being like, who the fuck do you think you are? You want to get socked? Because I will right now.
Is that an East Coast thing, you think?
Oh, because I'm from Boston, yeah. But that's like our term of endearment. Like, that's not that serious. Like, that's just how everyone talks to each other. So, like, I go other places and they're like, whoa, settle down, miss. And I'm like, you're making me uncomfortable. Are you making my friends uncomfortable?
Yeah, I have one friend who says, because there are times I can be like way overly cunty, and then there's times where I feel like soft spoken. But though the times I'm more soft spoken are the times I feel like I know I shouldn't go out in the first place, and then I go out and then I'm like not feeling it, and then I like just don't know how to like set boundaries for other people because I didn't set the boundaries for myself. But like when my friends are at a festival, if a guy comes like too close, like I can see he's about to try to start grinding on my friend, I'm like, yo, crackhead, get the fuck away from us.
So I was gonna say, there's something, if I'm alone with a man, like in a room and I'm put in that comfortable situation, I'm not like that. I like freeze up and I'm very quiet, and I don't know how to like have that conversation because I'm like, I might be unsafe. And I've had men do things when I have, like, you know what I mean? So it's like as a safety thing. But if I'm in public and there's people around and like I have an audience, like I switch that on and I'm like, try us. But if it's when I'm alone by myself, those situations like make me super uncomfortable. Like if I was on that boat and my friends weren't there and it was just me and him on that boat or something, that I would have handled it so differently. You know what I mean? Or done something I didn't want to do because I didn't know how to like speak up.
Exactly.
Out of like not even like I don't know how to. It's like my body literally just isn't working. Yeah.
It's so interesting that like girls have to be so cunty. I think especially OnlyFans
But
girls.
you can't be cunty when you're one-on-one because that person could hit you or like something, you know what I mean? And then there's no one around.
I don't like to go on dates for that very fucking reason. I refuse to go on dates with men.
I used to do double dates. Me and my ex-best friend, we would only go out and do the double dates, and they're like, what? Like, and then you would see them try to be like, they want to get you alone. Well, what? We want to do this? And I'm like, the fact that you need to be alone with me right off the bat is already like, you're a creep.
My version of dates is like inviting a guy to a bar with all of my friends, and then if I'm uncomfortable, I start running. And that works.
It's an effective tactic.
So like, I'm not there for the free dinners. We're rich enough. We don't need the free dinners.
No,
like,
that's why I'm like, I don't have time for this. Like, I'm not going to take your disrespect because I need a fucking meal.
No, but I remember the last time I did this, then my friends were stuck with the guy, and he kept being like, well, where's Adelia? And they were like, DEELZ.
Like she ran off. And like, I've had guys like that too follow me to bars and like show up. And they're like texting me. They're like, "Yo, he's here," and like he will not leave my friends alone. Being like, "Where's Jamie?" And they're like, "Stay in the back room. Like, don't come." And I'm like, "I'm so sorry." Like this is like a norm. Like these people are like seem normal, so you have no idea they're gonna be like that until they are, and you're like, "Why aren't you getting the hint?"
Yeah. Let's like honestly just one more game. Let's do a little role play that I'm like a creepy guy and I want you to yell at me.
Oh goodness, I can't yell at you. You're a girl. I can't even turn it on. I don't know. Maybe I can.
My phone is like a big dick on me right now, and I'm gonna hide my boobs. Does this make me look more like a cis male?
I don't know what it is. It's like always. I literally remember one time I was like, I'll like be like, this is my fucking girlfriend. I'm like, you want me to fight you? Or I'll literally be like, I was like, you don't know I have a dick under here. I was like, I'll fuck you in the ass right now. And I just say weird shit to like scare them off. Or I'll start barking. Like, you don't like that? And then these guys are like, this girl's a fucking weirdo. And I'm like, yeah, exactly.
Let's make TikToks tomorrow.
I was like, I'll peg you like I pegged my ex-boyfriend. And they're like, Jesus Christ, why would you say that? And I'm like, why would you say that? You don't like it, huh? When it makes you uncomfortable? Let me touch your dick. Come on. I can see it through your pants. You're asking for it. I just fucking go at it.
Oh,
yeah. Like until I make them so uncomfortable. Or like if a man stares at me, I'm like I just stare at them, and I'm like, what? And
I didn't take my antidepressants today.
Yeah.
What do you want to get
I want
crazy?
them to think I'm fucking tapped, so I might murder you.
Yeah. Well, do you have any final thoughts? Anything to tell people? Maybe just bark into the camera, into the mic.
No, this is me. It's a lot to unpack there. But I feel like that's also why I get along with you. I sense similar energy, so
we do.
Yeah. No, that's it.
Well, definitely plug yourself everywhere: TikTok, Instagram, OnlyFans.
You guys can find me on onlyfans.com/JamieLeeComedy. So JAIMELEE. And social media is the Jamie Lee Show. So I'm big on TikTok and not so big on Instagram, but you can see my booty there. You can't see on TikTok.
No, that shit gets deleted so quick. TikTok, what is the deals? Instagram, what is the deals? Backup Instagram, deals and dubstep. Backup to that backup is what's the deals with 2 C's. And then my OnlyFans is onlyfans.com/daddydeals. You can find this podcast video-wise on onlyfans.com/DJDeals. Thank you so much, and hope we offended someone today.
I hope we did too.
Oh, God.
That's offensive.
So you're stuck in like a unit with people who you can't speak English to.
I literally go from like paying someone's rent, buying someone a new phone, to like, y'all want an ant farm? Like, that's my brand.
Fox News saw that I was in New York, and I posted on Instagram. They literally emailed me for all the rights to it. I went viral. It was on every news station out there.